everyone, this is Karen.
Welcome back, everybody. Surprise, surprise. It's Shane.
Today we're looking at part 2 of surprising geography facts. And the vocabulary words are exposed.
Exposed.
The fire was caused by an exposed wire.
Vanish.
Vanish.
The plane flew high into the sky and then vanished above the clouds.
Dam.
Dam.
A dam was built to help control flooding in areas near the river.
Process.
Process.
I only eat food that has not been processed in any way.
Roughly.
Roughly.
Roughly half of my neighborhood lost power after the storm. So we are talking about surprising geography facts, right?
Right. They start with the Dead Sea.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, what a scary name.
I know, but it's going to vanish. It's going to disappear before our eyes because of the rising sea level, right?
Right. And it has like the lowest exposed point of Earth. Because it's actually below sea level.
That's right.
That's interesting, right? It's very low.
And then another surprising geography fact is that, did you know the world's tallest mountain is not Mount Everest?
That's right. It's actually in Hawaii, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's because that the base of the mountain,
Yes.
because Hawaii is an island, right? So actually the base of the mountain is below sea level. So if you are to measure from the base of the mountain to the top, it's higher.
It's actually higher than Mount Everest.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that. I've always thought Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world.
I think the most interesting one is that Australia is wider than the moon.
I know. I didn't know that because from the east side to the west side, it's about 4,000 kilometers wide.
Right.
But the moon is only about, I think, 3,400 kilometers wide.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, that's what's fun about learning these kind of facts because they're just so fascinating and interesting.
I know.
And you can tell people about them and they'll be like, wow, you're so smart. So impress people by your English and your knowledge of geography.
You are definitely right. Enjoy
You're welcome.
today's lesson.
Surprising geography facts.
The Dead Sea is below sea level and sinking. The Dead Sea has the lowest exposed point on land at 430.5 meters below sea level. However, it is vanishing right before our eyes. Once covering an area of almost 1,000 square kilometers, it now only reaches around 650. Humans are to blame for this. Dams were built which prevent the flow of water into the lake, and factories pump water out to process minerals, lowering the water level.
Today's lesson is called Surprising Geography Facts, Part 2. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike, and we're learning some amazing and interesting facts about the world. Antarctica is the world's biggest desert.
And did you know that Russia is like really big?
I knew that, but I didn't know
like
that it
11
covered
time zones
I didn't
big?
know, well, I didn't know it covered 11 time zones, and it also controls an island that is on one side of the international date line, separating the world into 24 hours, and just 4 kilometers away on the other side of that line is an American island. So it's one day in Russia, it's the day before in America.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the Dead Sea, a fascinating body of water. The Dead Sea is below sea level and sinking.
And sinking. It's actually getting
So
lower.
the body of water itself is getting lower and lower.
Huh.
Does that mean that it's drying out, or does it mean that the body of water itself is actually like sinking into the earth?
Probably a little bit of both, but it's definitely drying out. Yeah, the Dead Sea, which is there in the eastern part of Israel, near, I think, between Israel and Jordan, it has the lowest exposed point on land at 430.5 meters below sea level. So if you were going to walk over to the Mediterranean Sea, which is the closest big sea, you'd actually be going uphill. You'd be going up to get there. So the Dead Sea, like Death Valley in America, is also below sea level. That's not that unusual. However, it is vanishing. The Dead Sea is also vanishing right before our eyes.
Like the Aral Sea.
Like a lot of glaciers. I think global warming and human activity might be to blame here.
We're the worst, aren't we? No. Anyways, here we have this word exposed to talk about. If something is exposed, it's kind of out in the open, okay? That's all there is to it in this particular situation. In other situations, if someone is exposed, they're open and unprotected and vulnerable. But here, we're saying that this is out in the open, okay? This point, it's there. It's out in the open. If you wanted to, you could go there and touch it or something. It's there. It's exposed. For example, the fire was caused by an exposed wire. Someone probably should have done something about it, maybe closed that up. That wire shouldn't have been exposed, or it shouldn't have been unprotected. Someone should have protected that wire, I should say.
Yeah, we cover wires with plastic or rubber, right? Because if it's exposed and you touch it, or another wire touches it, it can cause a spark or a fire or something bad. All right, we also had this word vanish. When something vanishes, it does that. It disappears. It was there, and then a second later, maybe, it's not there anymore. I mean, we often think of a magician with some kind of egg or something, and then they do this, and it's gone. It's vanished. It's disappeared. That's magic, all right? Now, sometimes things vanish or disappear. It's not magic. If you leave your cell phone on a table in a public place and walk away for 2 minutes, you might come back and go, it's vanished. That wasn't magic. Someone probably took it away and stole it or something like that. And things can vanish or disappear slowly too. It doesn't always happen like that. For example, a rain puddle, right? Rain will fall and then the sun comes out and the heat will make that little puddle, that little bit of water, vanish or disappear. It wasn't magic. It didn't happen quickly, but it was there, and then later on, it wasn't there, as if it was never there in the first place. For example, the plane flew high into the sky and then vanished above the clouds. It's still there, you just can't see it.
There you go.
That's the idea. So how is the Dead Sea vanishing?
Well, we'll learn more about that, I think, if we read on. The next sentence says, once covering an area of almost 1,000 square kilometers, it now only reaches around 650. So that's quite the reduction. Now, humans are to blame for this.
Sorry.
We are the worst. Dams were built which prevent the flow of water into the lake, and factories pump water out to process minerals, lowering the water level. Also, look up the Aral Sea. The same thing happened to the Aral Sea. Anyways, here let's talk about the word dam. A dam is kind of like a wall for water. It's a wall that directs water, keeps it in one place, keeps it flowing in one direction. It might produce hydroelectric power, etc. That's what dams do. For example, a dam was built to help control flooding in areas near the river. Some famous dams in the world, the Hoover Dam in the United States and the Three Gorges Dam in China.
Yeah, and they have some smaller dams here, I think, in Taiwan.
I believe so, yes.
Up in the mountains, they help to control water and also sometimes make power. So they've dammed the river, basically stopping the rivers that used to flow into the water, into the lake, or into the Dead Sea. Of course, that will make the water levels go down. And they're also taking the water that's in there out. They're pumping the water out and using it in factories and other places like that to process different things. To process things is to change things through some kind of mechanical, industrial, engineering thing. All right, so a factory will take the water in and then use that water to polish steel, make cat food, produce clothing. Who knows? Well, they must need water to produce cat food. I don't know. But they use it in order to do something. It's basically one of the ingredients that goes into this factory method in order to produce something in the end. Maybe nothing to do with water like cat food or clothes. I think clothing production, they have to use a lot of water in the production or the processing of cotton and other things like that.
So the water goes to do something and doesn't go to the Dead Sea.
Nope, doesn't go to the Dead Sea. It goes into the factory, they use it up, and then it ends up in the drain or, you know, going down the sewer, that kind of thing. Not in the Dead Sea, where, of course, it should be. For example, I only eat food that has not been processed in any way, all right? So if you're eating fresh vegetables, those have not been processed. If you're eating vegetables that are frozen or in a can or made into some kind of microwave food that you cook very quickly at home, those types of vegetables have been processed. Something has been done to them in a factory in some way. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back with more amazing geography facts.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。我们在第一天的课文学到了2个地理冷知识，一个是世界上最大的沙漠是南极洲，第二个是俄罗斯这个国家竟然跨越了11个时区。好，那我们再来看第3个冷知识，就是死海在海平面以下，而且还持续下沉。好，死海在陆地上最低的暴露点呢，是在海平面以下430.5公尺的地方。不过呢，死海正逐渐消失在我们眼前，它的范围曾经有到将近1000平方公里，那么现在大约只有650平方公里了。我们先来看2个单字 ，exposed，exposed。它是形容暴露在外的，没有遮蔽的。当某个东西暴露在外，没有受到保护，它就比较脆弱嘛。刚刚 Jeff 老师用到 vulnerable， 就是形容脆弱的，它是拼作 vulnerable，vulnerable 表示脆弱的、易受伤害的。还有用到 unprotected， 就是在 protect 保护前面加上 un 这个字首，然后字尾再加 ed，unprotected 表示未受保护的。好，下一个单字 vanish 表示消失，突然不见。那 Mike 老师说，这个字不一定是都用来表达瞬间消失不见，像水坑里的水可能也会因为蒸发而慢慢消失。这时候老师就用到 puddle 这个字来指水坑 ，puddle puddle。好，另外老师们还有提到说，其实冰河和咸海也正在消失。那么这时候老师们说的 glacier，G-L-A-C-I-E-R， glacier 就表示冰川或是冰河，还有说到 arrow sea，arrow sea 就是咸海。好，那刚刚我们不是说死海正逐渐消失在我们眼前吗？课文接着就写到说，人类应该为这件事负责，因为人们建造水坝阻止水流入湖泊，而且工厂把水抽出来去处理矿物，因此就降低了水位。好，单字 dam 它表示水坝、水堤，像 Hoover Dam 是指美国的胡佛水坝，还有 Three Gorges Dam 是指中国的三峡大坝。那水坝它其实是可以用来做水力发电的，我们就顺便学一下水力发电的英文是 hydroelectricity， 在 electricity 前面加上 hydro 就可以表达水力发电了。那它的形容词是 hydroelectric， 用来形容水力发电的。好，下一个单字 process 在这边当动词来表达处理、加工。Mike 老师说，工厂他们处理完用完的水啊，最后可能会排到这个 sewer， S-E-W-E-R， sewer 就是指下水道、污水管或是排水沟的意思。好，那这边还有3个重点哦。第一个，当我们说某人或某事物 be to blame for 什么什么，就是表达某人或某事物应该为什么来负责，什么什么其实是某人或某事物所引起造成的。举例来说， Who is to blame for this problem？ 谁该为这个问题负责呢？好，第2个重点 pump something out 是用来表达把什么抽出、吸出来。Pump 当名词是指帮浦，当动词就可以表达用帮浦来抽运、抽送咯。好，例如 He quickly pumped the water out of the boat to prevent it from sinking。他迅速的把船上的水抽掉，以免沉船。 第三个重点 lower 在这边当动词来表达使什么降低减少，像我们可以说 blueberries can help lower blood pressure， 蓝莓可以帮助降低血压。好，接回到课文中。
Surprising geography facts.
The world's tallest mountain is in Hawaii. Mount Everest is known for having the highest peak above sea level, but it's not actually the tallest mountain on Earth. No, that distinction belongs to Hawaii's Mauna Kea, which stands 10,200 meters high when it is measured from its undersea base to its top.
Okay, next we're going to talk about the world's tallest mountain, which, duh, is Mount Everest, right? Wrong. The world's tallest mountain is in Hawaii.
Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Those beautiful islands in the middle of the Pacific. I mean, I know they have volcanoes there and
They
stuff.
are volcanoes.
Yeah, exactly. But a big, tall mountain? Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it depends how you look at it. What are you calling a mountain? It
Depends on sea level.
It does depend on sea level. Mount Everest is known for having the highest peak above sea level. So if you want to get up near the clouds, Mount Everest is the place to go. But if you're looking for just a big pile of rock that you can go from the bottom to the top of, Mount Everest ain't it, baby. But it's not actually the tallest mountain on Earth.
No, Mike, if you're looking for the biggest or tallest mountain, I should say, from base to peak, well, you shouldn't look to Mount Everest. No, that distinction belongs to Hawaii's Mauna Kea, which stands 10,200 meters high when it is measured from its undersea base to its top. How about that? Okay, everyone, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
下一个要介绍的地理冷知识是世界上最高的山在夏威夷。诶，怎么不是圣母峰呢？好，课文就写到说，圣母峰呢是以海拔第一高峰而闻名，但它其实并不是地球上最高的山哦。因为如果你是以山的底部开始测量到山顶的话，那我们来看这个夏威夷的毛纳基火山，你从它海底下的底部就要开始量了，一路量到山顶的高度，这大约是10200公尺。所以说，世界上最高的山这个头衔，这份殊荣应该是属于毛纳基火山。好，文中的补充单字 distinction 它表示差别区分，可是在文中呢，它是指殊荣荣誉的意思。接回到课文中。
Surprising geography facts.
Australia is wider than the moon. The continent of Australia is roughly 4,000 kilometers from east to west, while the moon is only 3,400 kilometers across. This makes Australia wider than the moon itself. It may be over 4.5 billion years old, but the Earth can still surprise us. It just goes to show what an amazing planet we live on.
Okay, everybody. We've been waiting for this. We haven't talked about Australia yet. So let's talk about Australia, mates. Get this. Australia is wider than the moon. Australia is wider than the moon. I'm sorry, my Australian accent is atrocious.
Well, I won't argue with that, but I won't argue either with the fact that Australia is wider, is bigger from side to side than the moon is. Yeah, it's true. The continent of Australia is big. Well, we know that, but actually the sentence says the continent of Australia is roughly 4,000 kilometers from east to west. If you drove across the country, you would be driving approximately 4,000 kilometers in a straight line. While the moon is only 3,400 kilometers across, 600 kilometers less. So there you go. Yeah.
Anyways, here we have the adverb roughly to talk about. Here the word roughly means approximately or about. Is it exactly 4,000 kilometers? No, we're estimating it's close. For example, roughly half of my neighborhood lost power after the storm. Did I go out there and count every single house and do the figures? No. I looked out my window and it looked like about half of the neighborhood lost power. There you go. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. This makes Australia wider than the moon itself. Amazing.
And there's more kangaroos in Australia, too, than on the moon. That's another great geography fact. Anyway, let's move on. It may be over 4.5 billion years old, but the Earth can still surprise us. That's right. Most of us have gone through geography class, maybe many years of geography class, but today in our 2 articles, we've learned a few facts that I'm sure not every single one of you knew all of these facts. So the Earth is old, but it's still amazing. It just goes to show what an amazing planet we live on, with big continents, cold deserts, tiny islands on different days. It's incredible. And mountains that you can't really climb because most of them are underwater.
And there are also more kangaroos here than on the moon.
That's another amazing fact, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and koalas.
That one's mind-blowing.
Isn't it? Yeah.
All right. Here we've got a question we've got to ask and answer. The what do you think question. Do you know any other geography fun facts that weren't mentioned in the article? And if you don't, which fact did you find the most interesting and why? And you can't use the fact that there are more kangaroos in Australia than on the moon.
I don't know. That's a pretty good fact.
No, it's not.
Well, okay, all right.
It's trivial at best.
Well, all right. I know that there are certain places, and I believe in Canada, the Bay of Fundy is one of them, where the tides are so high they can come up 20 or 30 feet and rivers can flow backwards. Rivers can flow uphill. That's a pretty cool fact.
I've seen it happen. It's true.
Really? You've seen it? Okay.
My family's from that area.
Oh, nice, nice.
Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to end our lesson and to say bye-bye.
Take care.
课文介绍到最后一个地理冷知识是澳洲比月亮宽。好，一讲到澳洲呢 ，Jeff 老师就会很想要用澳洲腔来讲话，但好像学得蛮糟的。他自己也用到 atrocious 来形容他的澳洲腔，这个字是 atrocious，atrocious 就是糟糕透顶的、差劲的。好，那么澳洲大陆呢，它从东到西大约是4000公里，那么月球从一边到另一边只有3400公里，所以呢，澳洲比月球确实宽了大约600公里左右。好，那这边有一个单字 roughly 就是用来表达大约、大致地或是粗略地。那有一个意思相近的字是 approximately。approximately 就可以表达大概、大约。好，那么课文最后写到说，地球可能已经超过45亿年了，但它还是能为我们带来惊喜。这只是说明我们生活在一个多么令人称奇的星球上。我们最后来看2个重点。第一个 go to show 或是 go to prove 可以表达有助于说明什么，有助于证明什么。我们可以用 it goes to show 或是 it goes to prove 后面加上 that 或是 WH 疑问词所引导的名词子句。例如 it goes to show that with hard work anything is possible 这证明了只要努力任何事都有可能。第2个重点是 what 引导的感叹句句型是What 加上 a 或 an 加上形容词加名词后面再加主词动词，那这是表达说真是什么什么啊，多么什么什么啊。例如 What an adorable baby she is 真是个可爱的婴儿啊。好，那么另外句型中的名词也可以用复数可数名词或是不可数名词来表达，那这时候句型就是 what 加形容词加上复数可数名词或不可数名词再加主词动词。例如 What nice people they are 哦，他们人真好。好，那么 Mike 老师最后也分享一个地理知识哦，就是加拿大的芬迪湾 Bay of Fundy 它的潮差非常大，涨潮的时候甚至可以造成河水逆向倒流的现象，很有趣吧？好，那么以上是这个讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
The Adelaide Town Hall is an iconic landmark in Adelaide, Australia. The clock tower is part of the downtown area on King William Street. The Albert Tower bells ring during important moments in the history of the city. The Adelaide Town Hall was built between 1863 and 1865. The clock was added later in 1935. There are a bronze statue of Queen Adelaide and art galleries inside. All kinds of events, such as meetings, gatherings, concerts, and other civic and cultural events, take place at the Adelaide Town Hall. The design was the result of a contest held by Mayor Tom English back in the 1860s. If you want to see a famous band perform in Adelaide, this is probably the best place.
Here is more information.
Landmark. The Eiffel Tower is the most famous landmark in Paris. Purchase. Michael purchased his clothes at the shopping mall. Exhibit. There will be an exhibit of Chinese paintings at the museum next week. Attract. Put the food away, or it will attract ants. Crowd. A big crowd went to the festival. Complex. We live in this apartment complex. Centerpiece. Mom used flowers to make a centerpiece for the table. Organ. Mandy plays the organ beautifully. Fan. Sports fans like to watch soccer games. Conference. I will attend the conference tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
See you next time!